John Kasich just entered the race. The Republican announced the Republican governor of Ohio and former right-wing talk show host and Fox TV star announced that he is throwing his hat into the ring. Shano actually recorded the entire thing, and then we sat around and we listened to his announcement and said, did he make any policy statements at all? Did he say what he would do as president in any consequential area? And we couldn't come up with anything. I mean, it was one of those speeches that's kind of long on platitudes and short. Although he kept talking about how the sun is going to come up over America again. I've heard that before. Where was that? Oh, that's right, 1980. Ronald Reagan. It's morning again in America. In fact, there's an ad. I'm sure you can find it if you go to YouTube and just Google, morning in America and Reagan. Assuming that the old political ads are still floating around. But there you go. This is the same John Kasich. There's a good and bad about John Kasich. Okay, what did John Kasich do? Well, Kira Lerner over at the Center for American Progress's blog, Think Progress, these people, they're on top of their game. And they said, okay, Kasich is going to announce, let's just tell the world what he's been doing. And he, sure enough, he announced that he's running for president. He presented himself as a moderate conservative. In fact, at one point during the speech, Shane and Jim and I were sitting in the control room area here where Shane and Jim run the audio and video, and I turned to them and said, it looks to me like he's running like an Eisenhower Republican. I mean, his rhetoric was very moderate, John Kasich's. But what has he done in Ohio? Well, first of all, he pushed through a $3 billion tax cut, mostly for very wealthy people and corporations in the state of Ohio, which then basically increased taxes on the state's poor and middle class, cut benefits and services to them, and radically cut taxes for rich people. I mean, he's a Republican. That's what Republicans do, right? I keep telling you, there's three groups of people in the Republican Party. There are the billionaires. There are the shills for the billionaires, and John Kasich is certainly one of them, with a long history going back to right-wing hate radio and Fox so-called news. And then there are the dupes, the people who get duped by the shills' rhetoric. Oh, it's not about the billionaires, it's really about abortion. It's not about the billionaires, it's really about welfare queens. It's not really about billionaires, it's about those out-of-control black people. It's really not about billionaires, it's about those awful Mexican immigrants. It's really not about, but it's really about the billionaires. The Republican Party is really about the billionaires, to the point that they've got a billionaire running for president, and he's number one in the polls. But back to John Kasich, and then I'll get to Donald Trump. In 2013, she writes, this is this piece in Think Progress by Kira Lerner. In 2013, John Kasich signed a budget that included a number of anti-woman health provisions, including language that ultimately defunded Planned Parenthood in Ohio and redirected that funding to these right-wing crisis pregnancy centers, where you go in and say, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm freaked out, where can I get an abortion? And they say, oh, let's pray. Or did you know that if you get an abortion, your risk of breast cancer goes up? It's a lie, but they're still telling it. Did you know that if you get abortion, you're at some point in your life, you're going to experience depression over it? 1%. It's essentially a lie, but they're still saying it. In fact, the vast majority of women who've had abortions have no regrets around it. I mean, the science has been done on this, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, as this hustle continues. And John Kasich signed a budget that stripped funding from rape crisis centers. So you get raped? Sorry, no place for you to go. You get raped and you want an abortion? We're gonna send you to a state-funded religious organization that's going to tell you how to pray. Early in his governorship in 2011, Kasich supported a bill to limit the collective bargaining rights of... Oh, by the way, speaking of rape, Scott Walker just signed a bill in Wisconsin. See, this is the whole Republican thing. Make government so small it can fit inside a woman's uterus. I mean, this should be their bumper sticker. Republicans want government small enough to fit inside a woman's body, right? He signed a bill that says no abortion after 20 weeks, even if the child is malformed even if it's rape or incest, no matter what, no exceptions. Sorry, unless the mom's going to die, that's it. Well, the fact of the matter is there's a number of conditions, including, profound encephalitis, where there's no brain. It's just filled with water, that you really can't diagnose until around the 20th week. And in some cases, even after that. Or at least that's my understanding. I may be wrong on that, but I don't think so. And besides that, it's really, only 1% of abortions happen after 20 weeks. And it's almost always because the mom's health is at risk or the child is not going to be a child. It's going to be a disaster. John Kasich also pushed through so-called charter school reform. Ohio has 123,000 kids attending 400 publicly funded schools. And they're performing terribly. They're doing far worse than the public schools in Ohio. In fact, this week, the person in the Ohio Department of Education who's in charge of, quote, school choice and charter schools, resigned, quoting from this piece in Think Progress, resigned after admitting that he gave help to charter schools to make them look better in state evaluations. Now, that's all the downside of John Kasich. The one upside of John Kasich, the one thing that I give John Kasich credit for, is that he hasn't been invited to next week's, I think it's next week's, it's coming up soon anyway, Koch brothers summit of billionaires, where they bring in Republican candidates to do a song and dance and kiss the butts of the billionaires, telling them how much they're going to cut their taxes and do away with their state tax and slash services to poor people. When John Kasich was at one of the previous, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before that or the one before that, one of these previous Koch brothers events, the wife of one of the billionaires who owns, like, I think it's the Dallas, one of the Texas football or baseball teams. I don't do sports. I'm sorry, but anyhow, she said in a rather snotty tone of voice, according to people who were there, "Why did you expand Medicaid in Ohio? Why did you took the Obamacare money? Why?" And Kasich, who's got a kind of short fuse, pointed his finger at her and said, "I don't know about you," and I'm paraphrasing from memory, but this is pretty close to exactly what he said. He said, "I don't know about you, lady, but when I die, I'm going to have to face my creator and answer for what I did to the poor." And she got up and left. Her husband got up and left. And about 10 or 15 other billionaires got up and left because they were offended. This guy is defending the poor? Come on, we're not about that. We're friggin' billionaires. Or at least right-wing billionaires. So Kasich, he doesn't have a chance. He's trying to position himself as Eisenhower, but his record is, more of the right.